This video is sponsored by trees, but more on that later. Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, have you ever just looked around and asked yourself, what is going on? I mean, it seems like everything being promoted as healthy is extremely unhealthy. Our society and our technology has been growing so much, resulting in this extremely complex way of living. In order to live a healthy, productive life, you need productivity apps, a second brain, daily schedules, millionaire habits, a side hustle, and a dozen other things. And no matter what we do, it seems like we're never enough. There's always something that we could be improving on. And when you really think about it, the very things designed to help us are the very things that are killing us. Life is becoming so complex, but the reality is we don't need productivity. We need relaxation. We don't need organized schedules. We need less commitments. We don't need complexity. We need simplicity. We need to slow down and take a chill pill because it is very clear that this complex, fast-paced way of life isn't working. All it's doing is stressing us out and making us extremely anxious. So in this video, I want to embrace a slower way of life where we stop and smell the flowers because ultimately we're all going to die. So you should enjoy your short time on this planet. So here are 7 slow living challenges for a healthy life. Challenge 1. Social media sucks Sunday. I have made a huge discovery on my stress, anxiety, and happiness levels. And I have discovered that they are all in some way connected to this, my smartphone. And I have discovered that the more I use my smartphone, the less happy I am and the more stress and anxiety I have. You can deny it and pretend like it's not an issue and it doesn't affect you, but majority of us are addicted to these things. And I like to think that I have more self-control than most people, but I am still addicted to these things. Smartphones are basically devices to avoid boredom. They're so stimulating and there's always something to do on it, but we never take a moment to slow down and take a break from this extreme level of stimulation. My first slow living challenge is called Social Media Sucks Sunday, which is 1 day a week. Do not pick up your smartphone or open your computer. For 24 hours, 1 day a week, detox yourself from technology and go off the grid. And it sounds silly, but this is extremely difficult. You will realize how addicted you are to technology and social media when you realize how much intention it takes to resist the urge to pick up your phone or open up your computer, but you owe it to yourself. To give yourself 1 day a week, 24 hours to go off the grid, slow down, and remove yourself from the outside world. Challenge 2. 1 day without profit. When I went to Europe, I noticed a big cultural difference between Europe and the United States. And if you're watching this from Europe, I know that Europe consists of many different countries and cultures. I'm just saying in general, because there's always someone in the comments section that says, well, Augustine, Europe is actually a bunch of different countries. It's not like the United States. And it's like, I know. How precise do you want me to be with my words? I'm trying to keep this below 13 minutes. Give me a break. But the big difference is what happens on Sunday. And you might be asking yourself, Augustine, what happens on Sunday in Europe? Well, nothing. Nothing happens on Sunday because everything is closed. You can't get groceries. You can't go to the museum. You can't do anything because everything is closed. Can you imagine if we did that in the United States? God forbid the consequences that would come from giving people a day of rest. People might have to wait 3 days instead of 2 days for their package. But my second slow living challenge is called 1 day without profit, which is 1 day a week. Do not try to be productive, fix yourself, make money, accomplish tasks, or do anything. Just spend 1 day not worrying about getting stuff done or trying to make a profit, despite what the most successful people in the world say. Money ain't everything. Act like things are closed and you can't go nowhere. Our society is moving 100 miles an hour and it never stops, but you owe it to yourself to take 1 day to go to zero, stop, and do absolutely nothing. Challenge 3, the 1 hour coffee challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watch my videos, you know that I love coffee, and like Jimmy said in Pulp Fiction, I buy the gourmet expensive stuff because when I drink it, I like to taste it. But the reason that I love coffee so much is because what coffee stands for. Coffee is a moment of the day when you stop, slow down, and just take a break, and coffee represents slowing down and relaxing. My third slow living challenge that I have for you is called the 1 hour coffee challenge, where you take 1 hour to drink 1 cup of coffee. Drink a cup of coffee as slowly as you possibly can. And don't just enjoy it, but enjoy the moment. Slow down, take a break, and relax, because coffee wasn't meant to be drinking quickly. It was meant to be enjoyed. And it might sound ridiculous, but I do this all the time, especially when I'm editing my videos. Go to a coffee shop with another human being or a book, buy 1 cup of coffee and take 1 hour to drink it. It is extremely relaxing, and the beauty about coffee shops is that they never rush you out. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Challenge 4, the 50-mile worry radius. There are 8 billion people on planet Earth, and when there are that many people on one planet, there are bound to be some nut jobs, ladies and gentlemen. But the world is crazy, and there are some terrible things that are going on, but that is the wild, crazy world that we live in. And the 24-hour news likes to hand select a couple crazy stories and say this. Hear ye, hear ye. We, the 24-hour news, the ones who guide you on what you should be worrying about, have looked all around the world at all the different stories, and we have found the craziest story of today. And today, you should be worried. No, that can't be right. Oh, right, you're paying me to say this. Prince Harry and Meghan have released a Netflix documentary called Harry and Meghan, and you should be worried. Very worried. And you heard it here first. And from what I hear, ladies and gentlemen, the stakes are high. But my fourth slow living challenge is called the 50-mile worry radius, where you only worry about things within a 50-mile radius of your house. Some people are going to look at me, El Augustine, and think that I am some terrible human being that does not care about the tragedies that are going on in this world, and I care. But the only thing I can do is worry. I'm just a guy in my apartment talking to the camera. Can anyone around here hear me? No. There are so many tragedies going on in the world. I am sorry, Prince Harry and Meghan. That is tragic, but you're not the only one with family problems. Worrying too much about things you can't control can be detrimental to your mental health, and you owe it to yourself to just worry about the things within a 50-mile radius of your house. Challenge 5, 1 day with no questions answered. Just like you, I'm sure, I love asking questions. And now that I have 24-hour instant access to the answer of all my questions, I have learned about myself. Once I have the answer to one question, I have 10 new questions. The internet is wild, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, at some point on your YouTube journey, you probably saw a picture of me doing this, or this, or this. And you asked yourself, I wonder what this sexy guy has to say. And next thing you knew, you were 10 videos deep getting ready to click that subscribe button. But there comes a point when all this question asking becomes an addiction. So my 5th slow living challenge is called 1 day with no questions answered, where you spend 1 day without asking the internet a single question. And as silly as this sounds, this is not an easy thing to do. We are so accustomed to having instant access to all of our questions. But next thing you know, your 10 Wikipedia tabs are open and the sun is setting. Falling into rabbit holes speeds up time, and to be honest, is just a complete waste of time. And you owe it to yourself to give yourself at least 1 day a week without asking any questions. Challenge 6, social media lights out after 7 p.m. I am sure at some point in your childhood, your mama told you, lights out at 7 p.m. But the reality is, mama just needed a break. But it's crazy when you think about how much time we spend in front of a screen. I mean, for a lot of people, you spend 8 hours at work in front of a computer, and then you go home and you're either on a TV or on social media. You have to establish boundaries on yourself when it comes to social media and technology. So my 6 slow living challenge is social media lights out at 7 p.m. And that's where you establish a specific time where you stop looking at social media. You have to set boundaries on yourself and establish a time where you stop this extreme level of stimulation. And you owe it to yourself to just take a break from all that, unwind, and ultimately you'll have better sleep. Challenge 7, the daily messed up mirror challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, I laugh every time I see a comment that says, "This El Augustine guy sure has it together." I may laugh in the face of danger, but I definitely do not have it together. I am just as messed up as you, ladies and gentlemen. I just talk to a camera for a living. But I have met so many different types of people from so many different walks of life in my life. And I have learned that we all have one thing in common. Everyone has a story, and everyone is a little messed up. My final slow living challenge is called the Daily Messed Up Mirror Challenge, which is when you look at yourself every day in the mirror and say, "I'm messed up, but so is everyone else." Don't be too hard on yourself. When you look at this fast-paced, complex world that we're living in, something just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like it's working because the more complex our society becomes, the more stressed out and anxious we become. Complexity doesn't solve problems. Simplicity solves problems. I believe that a slower life ultimately leads to a happier, healthier life. So I challenge you to try out some of these challenges in your own life to slow down, because it is clear we are going way too fast. And with that, muchas gracias. Que tenga un buen día. Video 71. Nos vemos, chicos.